In a previous video titled Designing Trim Blocks with a Spirocrafter, I detailed the design and cutting of this corner block. This video will cover applying the finish and the gold leaf. After an initial sanding, I applied a sanding primer and then sanded the block smooth. I used a Dremel abrasive brush to get into the V-groove of the carving. The dust in the V-grooves were blown off and several coats of paint were applied. Since I want a high gloss gold leaf, the finish needs to be very smooth. With our smooth surface obtained, the first step is to apply the adhesive. Do not shake the bottle because it will foam and make it difficult to apply the material smoothly. I always stir all leafing materials. Being as careful as I can, I apply the adhesive to the carved area. The adhesive will pool in the groove. However, as you will see, this is not an issue. In about an hour, these will be dry enough to leaf. By the way, I have found that the longer you allow the adhesive to dry, the smoother and shinier the leaf will be. One of the tricks I learned from a YouTube video was to cut the binding off the book of leaf. It makes it much easier to handle. Next, I pull a sheet over onto a piece of cardstock. The leaf needs to be cut into quarters for easier handling, and this is one of the things that I've always had a problem with until my wife came up with the idea of using a quilting knife. These things work absolutely great. Just don't buy a cheapie. Go to a craft store and buy a good one. The cotton glove does make it easier to handle, and by the way, it really doesn't have to be white. I'm going to cut one of the quarters in half, making two smaller strips, which you'll see me use in a minute. With shipping included, I paid almost $18 for this gilder's brush. However, the small fan brush worked much better for this project. The brush picks up a good static charge from my gray head of hair. This allows me to pick up the leaf and gently lay it down on the workpiece. Now I'll take a soft brush and smooth out the leaf. Note that the leaf split apart where I pushed it down into the V-groove. To handle leafing down into this groove, I cut and shaved a fairly stiff brush. With this brush, I can take and lap the excess leaf down into the groove all the way around the block. I'm taking this brush and pushing the leaf right down into that groove, pretty hard. Now I'm taking one of those smaller strips that I cut, and I'm using that to fill in any areas of the groove that don't have leaf pushed down into them. As I stroke and push the leaf down into the groove, it actually powders and becomes quite smooth. I'm cleaning the excess off this block. We're going to put it back on the table and just touch up what I may have missed. This does make a pretty nice smooth finish. As a final step in the process, I'll come along with some gray paint and touch up any ragged edges I may have left. And yes, you do get some ragged edges doing this. But all in all, it comes out really smooth in those grooves. And yes, as things go, when I get to the final block, I do need to cut up one more sheet. Our last step is to apply the sealer coat. Since this isn't a James Bond martini, once again this needs to be stirred and not shaken. And we apply the sealer over top of each of the leafed areas. In this particular instance, if you go out over the edge a little bit, it doesn't really matter because this sealer does indeed dry clear. So, there you have it. All I'm going to need to do now is come around with a little bit of gray paint and touch up some of my ragged edges. Hey, you make it a great day, and thanks for watching.